Welcome to Sports on the Hill podcast. Hashtag DC Sports Without the Politics with Carol and Robbie on True Radio Network. Thank you, gentlemen.
Introduce you to the atmosphere that is Capital One Arena for the Stanley Cup. Barivari watches Carlson spin it around the wall and out. Ovechkin on the fly, chasing after Huberdeau. Face off at the offensive end. Oshie brings the drop back to the point. Alex Ovechkin, who's been in a hitting mood today, score!
Crazy good win by Oshie, along with Backy getting it to the point. Carlson to OV, and he just fires it at the net because he knows Oshie is going to be there. Taking away the eyes, a crisscross screen in front of the net, and from long range, Ovi just throws it at the cage.
Back come Washington, transition, Mantha, backhand, block, follow-up, score! Marcus Johansson. Watching him in practice, he's comfortable going to his backhand to clear it away. On the way down, beautiful pass. Stop there, Bobrovsky made the save on Backstrom. The feed weak side, snapper, score! Trevor Van Riemsdyk.
There wasn't going to be a penalty there. Bobrovsky makes a fabulous first save. TVR gets it. He got away with that for sure. He just about bobbled the puck with two guys in red right on him.
Mantha's had a fine showing today. So too has Johansson. As he gets dropped in the corner, Forsling was hovering over top. Find Ovechkin. He scores!
Killers, and look at Ovi. And it's in and out before Bobrovsky looks around. He's looking around, looking at the referee, pointing into the net. That's a blue button.
Samsonov has a lot of company in the paint. 4:25 to go, net empty. Carlson towards the empty cage. John Carlson, bullseye!
For this game, but look at the work down low. Barivari on Reinhart. Long range right into the net.
Everybody up, almost 19,000, roaring the Capitals home today. Down 2-on-1, Larson in, kick save, rebound, score! Hathaway with icing on the cake.
Here it is, the high alley-oop, the chase down by Dowder, back behind the pass, the Larson shot, and the follow-up by Hathaway.
Dmitry Orlov playing catch with Van Riemsdyk as time ticks down. The Capitals lead this best of 7, 2-1. They drop Florida 6-1 in D.C.
That's right. It's Tuesday night. Sports on the Hill podcast, True Radio Network, CP3 coming to you live from the lab. You just saw the results of Game 3, the highlights of that great game, and unfortunately, we're going to have to break down Game 4. Have a lot of conflicted opinions about this game, and I'm going to talk about my opinions. Robbie's going to give his. And as you see, AnnaK already is on the screen, and I know she has her opinion about the game also. But we're also going to talk some Nats baseball. They currently are down to the Mets 3-2. They just gave up the lead in the bottom of the 6th. They were up 2-0. Gave up 3 runs to the relief pitcher, Patrick Corbin. Had 5 innings of scoreless pitching. And it was one of his better performances of the season. Unfortunately, the bullpen gave up the lead, so he won't be earning his first victory of the season. We'll be breaking down the 2-4 week and talk about the 4-5 road trip. Excuse me, that the Nats just came off. And then we'll be talking about the series with the Mets that they're currently in now. Excuse me. And we'll have the NBA semifinal recap with Robbie, and I believe Brian will be joining the show. So as always, we have a full show breaking all of this stuff down. Playoff edition. Robbie G, how you doing tonight, good sir?
Good, yeah. It's a busy night here. I was just out to dinner with my mom. It's her birthday on Thursday, so we're celebrating a little bit early and a little belated Mother's Day since she just flew back from her awesome dive trip to around the world. And so it was nice to be able to catch her between two trips and celebrate with her and my dad. And my mother-in-law's here, and both my kids were there, and went to our favorite Italian restaurant where I've gone there for 30 years. And I used to actually work there as their webmaster a long time ago. But we had a great dinner, and yeah, it's been an up and down week, as you were starting to talk about. I think any of us would have taken 500, win two, lose two, if we were given the option last week. I was just praying that we would have some more Caps hockey to talk about last week. I was nervous with the juggernaut team that was we were facing. We could get swept, but we talked about it. I thought we could win one. I was hoping for two. Three was going to be the long shot. We almost got three though, which is pretty incredible. It's a game of inches, right? We'll talk about that game more in depth, but we were an inch away from taking a 3-1 lead, a commanding lead in this series. Although we'll talk about in the past, we've had 3-1 series leads and it not been successful for us. And in fact, overall, we do better when we're coming from behind in a series or the series is tied 2-2, which I know would surprise a lot of people. But if they remember on the 2018 run, the only time that we were up 3-1 in a series was that last round. So, it was the previous three rounds, we were never up so big. There's a lot of work to be done. We'll break it all down. We'll also talk about this live Nats game. Also, the Mystics just won. I was watching that game just now. So we'll talk about the beginning of their season towards the end of the podcast. And we'll talk about this Nats game. Again, they're down 3-2 to the Mets right now, but we'll talk about their week with Carol and Brian. And then Brian and I will also discuss this very exciting NBA round 2 of the playoffs. We'll break down all of the series as well. But I'm going to get Anna's initial thoughts. We didn't get to see you last week to preview this series, but how are you doing? And then we'll get into the first game after that.
I'm doing good. Happy Tuesday, guys.
Yeah, it's weird to do it on a Tuesday. It's a strange thing.
Yeah,
but I'm happy we didn't try to compete with the game last night. I could not have done that.
I agree. I can multitask, kind of. But when it comes to that, I think I would have been very distracted. It would have been very annoying to listen to or watch. But yeah, all good on this end. Had a great Mother's Day, and glad that you guys both did as well with your families.
Happy belated Mother's Day.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Weather was fantastic for grilling on Sunday, which I know Carol can relate to. And yeah, it was good. So still a little perturbed about last night's game, but I don't know. I know you guys are going back and forth in the chat a lot, and I think I just was sort of sitting like.
He sat back a little bit. Yeah, you didn't know where to, and I didn't blame you. I wouldn't. I wouldn't give it to me.
It's like I just kind of had to sit there and think, like, listening to both sides, and I thought, God, I am torn, because usually I've got like such an opinion and stuff like that. But I know we can get to that after we talk about at least the first two games.
Yeah, let's just break down the game one, and then we'll get Carol's thoughts, and then I'll give my thoughts on it.
All right. So May 3rd. Wow. Here we go. Kicking off the first game in Florida. And here, 3:47, Tommy Wilson scores a power play goal, assisted by Mantha and Schultz, followed by a Panthers goal at 7:55. And I hate to say that that's kind of the only time we're going to hear about Wilson, and that breaks my heart, but it's okay. Second period, Claude Giroux scores the only goal in the second. Third period, Caps dominated. So that's all we care about. Kuzi scores at 8:14, assisted by Ovi and assisted by Ovi, and then Oshie with the tip in at 10:37, and an empty netter by the Tiger at 19:11 with a 4-2 win. And this was Vitek Vanacek's chance to shine, and he did. I thought he just kicked ass in this game, and I thought this was like exactly how the Capitals need to kick off the series. So this game I loved. I thought it was, minus, of course, Tommy leaving and Gudas being a bitch and everything else, but overall, it was a great way to kick off the series, especially in Florida.
Yeah, Carol, what were some of your thoughts on game one?
I definitely agree. This was the battle of the best home team and the best road team. The Capitals came out with a game plan. They executed. Double V was locked in for the most part. They were effective 200-foot. They played a 200-foot game. They slowed them down in the neutral zone. They took away their strengths. They hit them, even though they did get out-hit that game. But they hit them. They were more physical. And unfortunately, even losing Tommy, it did suck to lose him, but it was good to see the team still stay together, even though the lines had got switched up and, things weren't going according as, scripted, but they still got the victory on the road. It was a great team victory, and I was hoping that it would carry the momentum into game two, that they would be able to maybe steal two in Florida. Robbie talked about having a 3-1 lead and, how that hasn't fared well for him. And to me, that means absolutely nothing. The past, it's a past. Different team, different players, different coach. You can think about that stuff, you can talk about it, but honestly, that definitely will go on ice year in and year out. Playoffs, different every year, different teams, different processes. So there's just a good way to kick off the series and show Florida that even though the Caps are the 8th seed and only have 22 points behind them, the President's Trophy winners, that they can still handle their business and still beat them as long as they play their game. And that's what they did that first game.
Yeah, I'll add that I agree that every playoff series is different, but there just seems to be these demons that are lingering. And I don't know if it's just in the Caps fans' minds and hearts and had nothing to do with what actually happens on the ice. But, I feel like I've seen certain scenarios over and over again through Caps history. And it's frustrating because different coaches, different players, different everything. And I feel like I see some of the same storylines get rewritten. And I'm happy in 2018 that a lot of those stories, were written differently that year. But it hasn't been proven to me that is something that was going to move forward with them, or if that was an anomaly, a 1-year really awesome thing. I was hoping, and I know we all were, that was going to be a beginning of a culture shift and things would shift with it. It's interesting. I will note in the news and notes real quickly, we really love Barry Trotz. Carol was on the record saying we needed to find a way to keep him. The Islanders have just fired Barry Trotz, which I found really surprising. He was about to go into another lame duck year, and I'd like to say we know how that turned out for the Capitals, but it actually turned out really well for the Capitals. They won the cup on the lame duck year, so you would think that if you were an Islanders person, that you might give them one chance. Especially the first 20 games were on the road, Carol, and then they had so many injuries and sicknesses throughout, and somehow they still, put him on the chopping block. But I mean, Lou does this a lot, right? I think he's a crazy, person that I don't see it. But anyway, regardless, it's interesting to see. And obviously we didn't get the right coach right after the cup. Now I think we have a good coach in there. I'm hoping he's been able to make adjustments game by game, which has been a good thing to see. But it's going to be interesting to see if long-term, whether or not we stick with Sammy, if he goes back and forth like he did in Carolina, or what happens going forward. But to speak to this game just real fast, I mean, I think you guys have broken it down very well. It was exciting that we got on the board first. I'm so sad that Tom Wilson has been injured, and we haven't really seen him at all. They're doing a good job of hiding him from all media. And I know that often they don't tell you what the injury is, or you don't. They try to disguise it. But usually he's seen by a camera somewhere. The only pictures I've seen of him in the last 3 days were his own Instagram stories that had his leg covered up, right? So, I haven't seen any shot of him outside of his house, nothing. Supposedly.
But wasn't he seen, I feel like he was seen on the second game in a suit, watching the game.
I don't even know, but regardless of game 2 and on, I just haven't seen him in a while. I don't even know if he made it with the team.
Him, but the coach said that he will be traveling. He's day-to-day, and it's a game-time decision for him to play in Game 5. He's been probably doing rehab and, trying to get well because they didn't.
Carol, have you ever seen that where, like, we don't even see a picture of the guy? Like, I mean, it's like, it's so bizarre.
They didn't want nothing getting leaked. They wanted to keep the Panthers because this DC sports media, they leak, they can't hold anything. They're a bad refrigerator. They can't keep nothing. And, you give the other team advantage, just like with the Washington Commanders, with them announcing, they're not going to re-sign Deron Payne. Now the team has no kind of capital to try to trade him because everybody knows that he's going to be a free agent and he can walk at the end of the year. So they're being smart and not letting him be seen because they know somebody's going to take a picture. If he has a brace on or something or he's limping, then they're going to put it out there. And then that's going to give Florida, they don't know if he's going to be there. He's not. So they have to game plan for him. So that's taking some of the strategy out of the game. So I'm glad that they're doing that and not letting this.
No, I'm happy about it. It's just I've never seen it so successfully done.
Learned from their mistakes.
Not a picture has been seen. So
they've learned from their mistakes.
But it's crazy. In 90 seconds of playing time, which is all that our friend Tom Wilson has had, he had a goal, a penalty. I mean, I'm just like, he made the most of those 90 seconds. I'll give him credit for that. But it's just frustrating. But Kuzi, great goal in the third period in a game where we were down 2-1, and I was really nervous. And then TJ Oshie, really, just a timely goal to make it 3-2, and then Lars Eller with the empty netter. But, the Oshie one with the pass by Backstrom was perfect. I really like them shifting up the lines. Mantha's done really well. Eller's played well. We've seen people stepping up through all of it because, honestly, we'll talk about this throughout. Ovechkin's not the one scoring all the goals like it is some playoffs. Like, it's pretty much like everyone's contributing.
Which is how it should be.
Right, but and like how we saw in 2018.
We're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's get into Game 2. We still haven't gotten to Game 2 yet.
Okay, that's fair. Right.
And honestly, Game 2 is like, I've got like 3 sentences and we're in. So we have Thursday with a totally different story. We have no Tom Wilson, which sucks. Panthers score 5 times. 5 times. And the only capital goal was by Nick Backstrom with a power play goal in the second period at 2:44. There's really nothing else to say.
But at the time it made it 2-1. So that's the one good thing. And I'll just say that obviously then allowing a goal 30 seconds or so later, is just a buzzkill. All right. And I didn't watch any of this game, so I'm going to let you and Carol break it down, and then I'll give my thoughts on Game 3. But Carol, what was your takeaway on Game 2?
This game was definitely going the Capitals' way early. It was a fluke goal that got Florida their first goal. Not fluke as it was, not a good goal, but it was a deflection, a high deflection that just trickled over the shoulder and went in. And that kind of took all the momentum that the Capitals had because at that point, Florida had no type of offensive anything going on. The Capitals were playing their game, dumping it down deep, getting the forecheck going. There was nothing there. They want to get in their zone, get it in, get it out, and get in the transition game and slowing them down. That's what was working. And then, like you say, NHL playoff hockey, one goal can lead to more. And, like you said, they scored 2 goals within 30 seconds. Like you said, Nicky made it 2-1. And unfortunately, Florida is a good team. They were a President's Trophy team. They scored more goals than anybody since, 1975 or something. So, they're a good team. They were at home. They seized the momentum and took it. And the Capitals had some breakdowns. They weren't playing solid hockey because with the line. I had to talk about. I gotta put him out there because Game 3 he had a hell of a game, so I got to talk about him in Game 2. But Hathaway, on that third goal, he was the key element without the hustle on that being bumped up to the third line. I think he was out of sync. He missed his line mates. He hadn't been up on the third line, and I don't know how long. I know he had been up there before, but it's been a minute, and he just didn't have any. It looked like he was just out of place. And on his effort on that third goal, which kind of, opened the Avalanche because then they got the next goal 30 seconds later, then it was, pretty much a done deal with them at home, crowd behind them, knowing how pivotal the game was. The Caps couldn't, get season momentum back. and Florida was, taking some liberties, which goes to not having Tom Wilson out there. I felt like they were getting away with some, late hits. The puck had been away from the player, but they were still allowed to make contact and get a hit. When if it was the other way around, they would have definitely called it on the Capitals. But this was a winnable game up until the floodgates open for Florida. But it's still the team was in it. They didn't have Wilson for the whole game, and Florida knew that, and they seized the momentum, and they showed why they're the President's Trophy winning team in the NHL and scored so many goals. So game two was game two. They left Florida tied 1-1, which is you say you want to steal one. If they had stole two, that'd have been great, but you accomplish your mission, come home, and make sure you take care of home ice.
Right. Anna, any quick thoughts before we get into the more exciting game three?
Yeah. I found there's a complete disconnect with the team, and it just seemed to be right from the start, unfortunately. And I don't know if it was because Tommy wasn't on ice, and he's such a key factor in things, but you want your team to rally regardless. But there just it seemed like there was just something off. It was a tough game to watch. A lot of sloppy passes, a lot of shoot the puck moments that just didn't quite happen. So, but I agree. It's Florida Panthers aren't in the playoffs for just because they're a damn good team, and we knew that they were going to challenge the Capitals for sure. Unfortunately, I think that they were just, I don't know, a little stunned, and they just got their asses handed to them basically in this game. So luckily we redeemed ourselves in the following game on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, one last thing I'll just say is I want to echo what Carol was saying about the lines. I like Hathaway on the third line, and I kind of wish that they had put McMichael, in on this game. I know McMichael plays better as a center, but if you really feel that way, then put McMichael as the center on the third line and put Eller on the wing. We had tried that before. I think I would have rather them do that than what they did do, because then they changed the chemistry of two different lines, and that is basically changing half your lines, and you could see the result of that. Plus, Florida was going to push, right? I mean, they're the best home team in the league. The likelihood of them losing both at home was pretty small, but I was happy with the split, but we had to take care of business, and we did. And so, Anna, break down the scoring in this really awesome game, and then I definitely want to break that down with Carol as well.
100%. All right. So Saturday afternoon, we had game 3, and at 2:45, the Panthers score their only goal of the game. That's all we need to say. Just kidding. So following that, Oshie with a tip-in on a power play goal at 1934, which is fantastic. Going in the second period, Mojo. There we go. I will have to say he has sort of been like my Orlov, and I've been like meh with him for when the trade happened. But I will say he is redeeming himself, and I'm becoming more and more of a Mojo supporter back on the Capitals this time. So he scores at 19:51, assisted by Mantha and Backstrom. TVR, love it, at 18:49, assisted by Mojo and Nikki. Third period, here's the captain scoring at 10:25 with power play goal. Carlson with an empty netter at 19:18. And then Hathaway assisted by Larson and Dowd. You just can't, sorry, I think my times were a little bit off on that one. 19:18 was Hathaway assisted by Larson and Dowd. And with the stars, Sammy, Mojo, and TVR. This was, to me, the 60 minutes of hockey. This was physical. This was smart hockey. And this was probably one of the best games I've seen them play, at least the second half of the season, for sure.
Yeah, Carol, I'll let you give your thoughts first, and then I'll give my take.
Yeah, I was actually watching this game at work. It was kind of hard to... First time ever watching a playoff hockey game at work and having to try to compose yourself. It was a real struggle. But it was definitely a very well-played game by the Capitals. They got the first goal, which I didn't really like the goal that he gave up, but he had, said at the end of the game, first 5 minutes of the game, he felt nervous. He gave up that goal. 2:45 into the game, but then he gave up nothing else. So, I mean, I appreciated that. Like I said, he gave up a bad goal, but the team was able to respond. Once again, they slowed him down in the neutral zone. They out-hit him. They shut him down on the power play when they did commit penalties. They got power play goals when they got a chance to go on the power play. They got timely saves. Samsonov had that great save that led to the goal to take the lead in this game. Everything was clicking. The crowd was behind them. It was going crazy in there. It was a perfect game to play at home, and you were hoping they would copy and paste that for game 4. But this was definitely a well-executed game plan, a well-played game. Defensively, they were pretty solid. I believe they only had 2 odd man rushes. Florida did in transition, so they did a real good job of, shutting down this Florida offense that was so potent that everybody was scared of, that they wasn't giving the Capitals any chance to even being in the same arena with this team. And the Capitals showed that, look, we might not be the high-scoring offense. Hey, we've been the President Trophy winning team before, and we know the pressure that's on the team to perform. And they applied the pressure in Game 3 and made Florida, feel the same way they put 5 on the Capitals in Florida. Caps turned right around and put 6 on them in the next game. So that's a great bounce back for the team and a good way to show them that they can impose their will and play their game and shut them down at any given time if they play their hockey. So the way I look at it is, it's not what about the Florida Panthers can do. It's about how the Capitals play. And if they play their game, if they can shut down Florida, they can shut down any team in the NHL. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, so there's a lot to unpack there. One of the things is Sammy played really well in the third period of the previous game, and something that we didn't really talk a lot about because we kind of overlooked that game. And I thought he deserved the chance to start this game, and he really shined in both this game and the next one. I don't blame the loss in the next game on him either. I think he's really stepped up big in a way that we were kind of hoping for. This is his very first career playoff win, just like Double V's very first win was the Game 1 win. I thought, I wore the Manta Ray shirt again. I thought he was the best player on the ice potentially. He was trying to take the physical presence that Tommy, was left behind. There's such a void there, and he really tried his best. I mean, he has had his most productive hitting series, that we've ever seen. He was able to put up 10 hits one game. Just really, ratcheting that up a lot, and then really a beautiful play to set up Marcus Johansson. I mean, without that shot and setting that up, he's not going to score that. And then then later on, he was the cause of the Ovechkin goal. He had a pass down low, and then there's another goal that I think even the one in between was the one where he set up the play, and he was basically the fourth person to have touched it, but you don't get it. He's not the secondary assist, but he really set up a lot of that play too. So, I mean, he was responsible for 3 of these 6 goals in a lot of ways. And I just
loving
really,
his game.
Yeah, he really has stepped it up a lot. And I like that line with Nick Backstrom and Marcus Johansson. That's become a very potent line. And we really needed a really good second line to try to compete with the 4 amazing lines that Florida has. And the last thing I'll say is the OV goal happened on the power play. I was just thinking to myself 2 minutes before, I'm going to have to do a spot on this show tonight about how the Capitals are scoring all these goals and playing really well, and Ovechkin is yet to score a goal, and what's going on. We're 3 games in, and then he scores a goal. But still, the only one he has, placed. A lot of other people have got goals as well. So just an all-around great game, but we'll, for timing purposes, move on into the next game, which I know is a much more frustrating game that we have a lot of opinions on.
Yes, we do. All right, so last night, second home game. I don't know, really thought we had it, but that's okay. We'll see. First period, Oshie with the deflected power play goal at 7:15, assisted by Carlson and Nicky. Panthers score at 14:08, so now we are tied 1-1. No goals in the second, and then the third period, Kuzi scores at 9:31, assisted by Ovi and Oshie. Panthers tie it up at 17:56, and we head into overtime, and unfortunately at 4:57 they score. This game, honestly, it didn't bother me as much until I had to write down like shots on goal stats. And I thought, the hell, like on paper, it looked like we really played quite a shitty game. But you're looking at shots on goal with Capitals 7, Panthers 11, 4 and 12, 5 and 7. You know, it was just that kind of stuff. It was incredibly frustrating to see those stats, knowing that I thought we really had a chance to pull it out in the end. And you know, it just didn't happen. So,
real quickly, a crazy barehanded, one-handed catch and throw down the line to first base, and the guy just barely stretches out and touches first base as he's falling over, and it's an important out because this is still a one-run game. But Carol, I don't know if you saw that in the Nats game, but it was a pretty
barehanded.
Yeah, he just like grabbed it, and he really like sold out for it, grabbed it, and you know,
that's amazing. That'd be like after the fact, you'd be like, holy.
Yeah.
Miguel Franco's been playing pretty well for the team, especially defensively.
Wow.
Offensively, he's been a little spotty, but he's definitely been solid in the field playing third base. So yeah, he's made some nice plays throughout the season.
Yeah. So anyway, but real quickly, I just wanted to talk about just the bad luck that we had. I mean, there was a chance for Hathaway to score an empty net goal that would have sealed the deal. It bounces off the post and out in an extended 6-on-5 situation they're doing for over 3 minutes, where we were just getting worn down. And then unfortunately it's icing, so those players have to stay on. And later on in that shift, the puck goes off of Hathaway right to their player, and they shoot it and score and tie the game. And I've seen this story so many times, and it's so frustrating because I know Carol was trying to cheer me up in in our group chat saying, we got this. And I just was like, we don't got this. This is going to be awful. I've seen this story where, less than 2 minutes they score 6-on-5, and it rarely goes our way in overtime after, momentum swings like that. But yeah, I was hoping Carol would be right. I did not, I'm the eternal pessimist. Carol's the eternal optimist. Anna gets a little glimpse of this in our group chat. But I knew the momentum. I was so angry I'm just so frustrated that Hathaway, I mean, he had to shoot it there. You don't want them to steal it. They were so tired. But it's just like, I almost wish he could have skated it out a little bit more and found a way to get that in. And it's such a different series when you're up 3-1, because we had stolen home ice and we give it right back to them, which I know we've been playing really well on the road, but still, like, I would have loved for them to have to win 3 in a row to beat us. If we had won that game, that's what they would have had to do. And now they just have to win 2 out of 3. But it's just so frustrating. But Carol, what are your thoughts?
It was definitely a frustrating ending. Florida definitely made adjustments. They clogging the passing lanes. They were definitely very defensively solid in this game. That's why the low shot count for the Capitals, because the Capitals had plays to be made, but they had to be perfect plays because Florida was playing solid defensively. They got the goal late by Kuzi to take the lead. There was about 9 minutes left in the game. I felt pretty good about that because we've seen this team, lock down defensively.
Were you okay with the bird there?
Not really, because it was still a lot of time left. It was still too much. I don't like poking the bear. Now, if it was like 3 minutes left, yeah, I'd have been cool with it. But
I want to revisit this someday because I don't think you're ever cool with it. I've yet to find the time.
I mean, I wasn't even upset that he did it. I mean, it was a little baby one anyway. It wasn't an extended one, so I get it. It was a momentum swing. They felt like they had the momentum, and I felt it too because I pulled up in front of the house, and as soon as I pulled up, they scored. So I was like, bet I'm going in the house to watch this last 9 minutes. And watch them solidify the thing. I didn't see him do it until, he talked about it after the fact. I didn't, I wasn't upset about it. Playoff hockey, you get emotional, so he had home crowd behind
All right,
him.
Carol, so far what I'm learning and listening to this whole podcast so far is that when you watch it, either on the road listening or when you're at work, we seem to do a lot better. So maybe you just pitch a tent at your office. Yeah, pitch a tent at your office and just watch it there.
Yeah,
and
it's
watch
been
no?
because I didn't. Let's see. Yeah, I didn't get home and then I watched the game. Yeah. So I don't know, man. It was just it was frustrating. I mean, the 6-on-5, they're the comeback team. That's the way they've scored a lot of goals. But the reason why they've had to come back is because they don't play defensively sound. And if you play solid hockey against them, you can slow them down and stop their strength, which is transition and the rush. So I mean, that's why I was upset because I know there was a great opportunity to go up 3-1 and put a stranglehold and put all the pressure on Florida going home, knowing that we had beat them at home in the first game. And like you said, inches with Hathaway's empty net attempt going, just bouncing off of the pipe. Unfortunately, all of that, I took a step back. Like I said, it's the best team in the league. They didn't get it. Nobody gave the Capitals a chance, I believe, except for two of the analysts that said the Caps in 7. But they're in this series. They're minus one of their most crucial players in Tom Wilson. He plays on the penalty kill, the power play. He's solid.
And I think for this series specifically, maybe the most crucial. I truly believe if he was out for all 4 games, we may have swept this series, Carol. I know that's such a ballsy statement, but I really feel like
I agree with that because even just the first 3 minutes of the game and 90 minutes, 90 seconds he played on the ice, you saw the impact he was going to have on the game. So Florida lucked up with him, getting this injury. I'm just hopeful that he'll be able to, if he's not 100% healthy for Game 5, that he'll be ready for Game 6 at home. And the Capitals know if they can get him healthy for Game 6 at home, not saying this a lot, but they got a very good chance of winning. So they know they need to handle their business and play Game 5 like they played Game 1 and not like they played Game 2.
I couldn't believe how quickly John Carlson got back out there after getting a puck in the face. I know we haven't really talked about that. Like, he missed one shift, Carol, and he was like faucet bleeding out of his face. Like, I know that we've talked about him all season, but like, what a gutsy performance by him and so many Capitals. I thought we played really well. My one issue is we had opportunities. We had 5 power plays. We only converted 1 of them. I really felt like we needed to convert more. I've been so happy with how the penalty kill has played. I don't even want to say it for sake of jinxing it, but they've been playing incredible.
They scored a power play goal in every game. Florida hasn't scored. They're the only team in the playoffs that hasn't scored a power play goal. So
knocking on the wood here, but like
knocking.
That unit is locked in. They were locked in before the pro season started.
No, I agree. I know, but they're such a deadly. We know how good that power play is, but regardless of that, we can't win many games without 20 shots on goal. Like, we almost did, and that would have shocked the hell out of me. It's just, Bobrovsky's too good. I've talked about this a couple times before on this show. I talked about it last week. To win this series, we've got to win some 3-2 games. We've got to hold them to half of their scoring output of their normal thing, which is crazy. They usually score 4 all season. We have to cut them to 2, and we've got to put up 3 goals. Obi can have 1 of them, but 2 other people are going to have to show up at least. That was going to be our recipes for success. And we saw some success. I mean, we actually scored more than that. But we could have won that game 3-2 if the Hathaway goal goes in, and it would be exactly what I'm talking about. But I really feel like we need to cut down on the penalties in the next game if we want to win, especially there because at home they're going to give them a bunch of power plays. So we got to really try to mitigate that. And then the other thing is we need to have more shots on goal. Like, I just don't think we're going to – if we shoot less than 20 times on goal, I don't know if we're going to score enough to beat this team. And I think if we could do those 2 things, we could be quite successful. But what do you think, Carol?
I mean, Florida blocked a lot of shots. Like I said, last game, they were the most solid offensively all postseason than they had been, throughout. They were back checking. They were, they were staying defensively strategic. They stuck to their game plan. They weren't taking chances, and they played like their back was against the wall. So I really don't have any complaints about the Capitals game. They just have to get more net front presence. if you're going to get low amount of shots, but you have to get traffic in front of it. So if you're going to, when you do get those opportunities, you need to make those opportunities count. And we've seen them do that in previous games, unfortunately, because the intensity of what Florida was playing with and how, like I said, if you go back and look at it, they played this game very well against the Capitals to hold them to only those limited amount of shots. They were blocking shots. They were back checking. They were the forwards was helping out the defense, just like we've seen the Capitals going with the Florida. They're stopping them on their rush. They did the same thing to the Capitals. So they gave the Capitals a dose of their medicine. So now they're going to come out there and adjust, and I believe they will. And I don't know if they don't have Wilson for this game. Like I said, I think that's what they're going to be playing for. They know if they take this game and they know they're coming back home with Wilson the chance to play, and they get their lines back to the way it was in game one, the way it would have been, and then they can really, show Florida what they're really about and take them out the playoffs and shut everybody's mouth.
Yeah, two quick things. One is, well, I agree with everything that you said. I think that he could be a difference maker in this series. I really feel I'm so happy that TJ Oshie didn't get supplemental discipline. I didn't think he should, but you know how things are called in this league, that, the same exact play was done against us, wasn't called. I was just getting, there was just a lot of talk on Twitter, but there's always a lot of talk on Twitter on every play.
The guy hit himself with his own stick, and they try to blame Oshie for it.
Right, but anyway, so it was whether he came up on him. Regardless, wonderful hit. It set up that entire play, that ended up with Guzzi getting the goal. He's been such a physical presence. We've seen the physicality from all the players. We need that to continue, but to, stay within themselves. I think, Favari took some penalties. We got lucky that they didn't score on them. I'm happy he almost got a goal on a breakaway, after we killed the second one. But he just got to stay out of the box in my mind and keep that physical presence, but not take it too far. We've got a question from Eric in the on Facebook. He was asking, are the Caps going to win this series? He thinks so. And so it's going to be a tough one. I really feel like whoever wins this next game will be in the driver's seat, because then the other team would have to win 2 in a row at the end. It's been going every other. I like the adjustments that our coaches made. And I also like our road mentality, but they are a great team at home. Carol, what are your thoughts going forward in this series?
I'm going Caps in 6.
6, okay.
I'm going Caps in 6.
I like it. You're the eternal optimist. I
think that because of the way these last couple of games without Wilson, because like I said, Florida's been getting away with, a little extracurricular activities that the referees miraculously don't see, but they catch everything that the Capitals do. So I know the Capitals are getting frustrated by it, and, somebody's going to have to drop the glove sooner or later. And I'm hoping it's Hathaway or Dow, one of them fourth line guys that can really, handle themselves, because Florida's been getting away with some things. Referees haven't been calling it, so they need to send a message. And because Wilson hasn't been out there, they've been getting away with some stuff, messing with Kuzi. Kuzi got the $5,000 fine for, high sticking on the play. I'm surprised they didn't see it during the game. But, yeah, dude was messing with him. He's like, man, get out of here. He smacked him with a stick. That's cool. If Wilson was out there, he wouldn't be doing that. So I think that the team is going to, come out there and know what they have to do. And I think they're going to handle their business. And then if Wilson is healthy to go game 6, that momentum with him and Capital One going to be rocking, and they get all them lines back to where they want them, I think they're going to have another game like game 3 and not like game 4.
Carol, I have a quick question. In your studio there, do you have either of the hockey games on? For some reason,
I tried taking a 36-hour break from hockey because I didn't want to hear the commentators talk.
Oh, no, I just didn't know if you wanted to just watch the Bruins or the Lightning game. So real quick, I just want to give a score.
Crap at this Carolina game.
I know. Carolina's up 5-1. It's pretty much the end of the third. There's 25 seconds left. And some reason, of course, all nights, ESPN is just not working, or ESPN2 on my TV. So that's why I'm watching other things. But I have to reset the cable box. But I realized that like 5 minutes before airtime. So anyway, the Hurricanes are going to take a 3-2 lead here over the Bruins, which was to be expected. And then in the other series, it's 2-2 The Lightning took a 2-0 lead in this game pretty early on, within the first 6 minutes, back-to-back by Stamkos and Hedman. In the second period, Tavares scores a goal to make it 2-1. Morgan Riley, 3 minutes into the third period, ties it, and then 1 minute later, William Nylander scores to make it 3-2. There's 12:40 left in this very close game. Again, Tampa Bay was winning, and Toronto is coming back. I'm rooting for Toronto in this series. I feel like Tampa Bay's won 2 cups in a row. I have a lot of friends that are up in Toronto. I think I'd personally rather play Toronto with their history of not going that far in the playoffs versus the 2-time defending champs. If those are my choices, we still have to get obviously past Florida, but I just wanted to mention those 2 live games that we're happening right now. But Anna, what are your thoughts on this series going forward for the Capitals?
Well, I'm going to go with Carol 100% on this one. I'm thinking Caps in 6. I think that we have seen a team step up when you don't have a Tommy in the line, and it's been impressive, and I think they just need to ride that confidence wave. I do think that as much as I'd love to see someone, drop the gloves, I hesitate, with the fact that Florida knows that you've got that kind of ticking time bomb with Hathaway. It doesn't take much for Dowd, and certainly doesn't take much for Mantha. And I'd rather see them on the ice playing smart hockey than, in the penalty box for something stupid. But then again, I'm always going to root for a good fight. So I see it. I just think that, the team getting a good headspace and
as long as you're taking out a better player than who's going out for us, that's my rule of thumb. We can knock out like somebody who's actually would be scoring or doing something. I don't want like one of our. I would hate for someone like, I don't know, Mantha Ray, who I think is a big guy and can probably take care of his own, to like go out with the 4th liner and then he's off the ice for a considerable amount of time. Like it's important it kind of think of it like chess, where like you want to have the same sort of strength piece that's being taken out,
exactly.
and I'm not putting yourself in a.
I'm all, loving a good hockey fight and stuff, but not if it's gonna take, like you said, like a Mantha, Dowd, or Hathaway off the ice. It's come on, at that point it's not really worth it. But yeah, these guys just get into a group. It's like, come on now, it's like now or never. And I think they're going to do well. They do well on the road. So bring it home in 6 and let's just rock it.
Yeah, I actually think it's going to go 7. The Caps are going to win, but they win both road games and lose their home game is what I'm feeling, because that's kind of how the entire season has gone. and the Capitals never make it easy for anything. So, it's just would be very typical Capitals to win the next one, have a chance to finish it off, not do it, but then go on the road and win it there. That story has actually happened before. I believe it was the Boston series a bunch of years back in 2012, maybe. I think that's how it went.
2018 against the Pens, they did it in 6 on the road in Pittsburgh.
But it's opposite, though. We'd have to do it at home in Game 6.
They know how critical it is to put your foot on their throat and close the door. They know they know how to do it, and they will do it. That's why I'm not even worried about it. This team is ready. It's more even with Florida than a lot of folks want to give them credit for. But they looked at the goals and all of the the half line scoring that they did. But the Capitals got off to a great start. Had some injuries, had some COVID stuff, brought some young people in the lineup, had some inconsistent goaltending at the time. But they were on the pace to be in the running for the President's Trophy at one point in time. But everybody got locked in. Pittsburgh got hot. Rangers got hot. Carolina got hot. And they fell the way they fell, but they're still one of the best teams in this league, offensively and defensively and special teams. They don't get talked about.
No 8 seeds ever had 100 points. So, it's something to consider is that it's not a typical 8 seed at all. Real quickly, Carol, have you seen any of the other series?
Yeah, I've been watching off and on. I haven't been paying close attention, but I've been watching them, throughout.
I'm just going to give people a quick update if they haven't been. The Avalanche swept the Predators, and they won 5-3 yesterday. Unfortunately, the Penguins won 7-2 over the Rangers in Game 4 of Round 1 and now have a 3-1 lead. That goes back to New York tomorrow. That'll be a pivotal game. The Flames beat the Stars 4-1 in their last game to tie that series, where I believe it was split for both the home and the away games for both teams. And then tonight the Kings play the Oilers at 10 o'clock. That series is tied 2-2, and the Blues play the Wild. That game actually just started. That game is still 0-0 with about 16 minutes left in the first period. So a lot of really close series. A lot of them are really tight. Carol, any thoughts on any of those series that you want to break down before we start to end the hockey segment?
They've all been, like I said, very interesting series. Most of them tied 2-2. Pittsburgh up 3-1. Shesterkin, it was crazy to see him give up so many goals the last two games, and the way he was locked in all season. But maybe it's fatigue. I'm not sure, because the last time I checked the score, it was like 2-2. They said I know, so the final score was 7-2. And I was like, geez, what happened? But then the Boston Carolina, that's been a crazy one. You know, home ice has been the key, and that one might go 7, depending on what Boston do going back home. Toronto, Tampa Bay, that's been a crazy series too. You know, Toronto started out with a 5-0, butt kicking, and then Tampa Bay came back and got a 6-1 butt kicking, or maybe it was worse than that. So they had a contentious season battle, and it's leaped over into the playoffs. So there's been some very interesting playoffs. The West Coast I haven't watched a lot. The Edmonton Kings series, that's been interesting with the goalie matchup, and the older Kings against the young, high-scoring, fast-flying Edmonton Oilers. So there's been a lot of good storylines. So for the first round of the NHL playoffs, it's been great in my opinion.
Erica asked me, missed the Tom Wilson update. I missed that question a few minutes ago, but we think that we don't. It's day to day. We don't know if he'll play.
He's making the trip, and they say day to day. He's a game time decision at this point.
Yeah,
that's the last thing.
So, which is basically what they said before every game. So, Anna, have you watched any of the other playoff games? Do you have any
Honestly,
series?
just the Carolina Carolina Bruins.
Boston, yeah.
But just to kind of see, it's been fun to watch. It's more high scoring than I thought it would be, but always kind of hoping someone's going to beat Marchand's ass at some point. But there's been a couple good roughing moments there for sure. But some of the other games I have not been able to watch. I'm just kind of focused really on the Capitals, but of course it's playoff season, so it's always very exciting.
Yeah, we definitely have to mention all the backup and the third string goalies that's been in the first round.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm happy that teams are allowed to have 3 goalies, and I'm happy that you're allowed to have one in the stands that you can emergency dress, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'd have a lot of Zamboni drivers going in.
A lot of Zamboni drivers.
But yeah, it's been a crazy playoffs for sure. So I think we'll probably. Oh, the Blues just scored. I'll make it 1-0. So that was less than 5 minutes into that game. And the Lightning scored 8:33. That's a tie game now, 3-3. So that's an exciting game that I'm frustrated that my cable will not show me. But I'll try to maybe fix that during the baseball segment. Carol, any final thoughts on the hockey before we let Anna go?
No, I was just watching a bad play by Juan Soto. He missed the cutoff, man. Instead of it being first and third with no outs in the top of the ninth, it's second and third with no outs in the top of the ninth, with Ramirez on in relief trying to get it to the bottom of the ninth for the Nets to try to walk off. And just a bad throwing baseball play on Soto, missing the cutoff, man, and allowing the man to advance to second. So Nets trying to pull this one out. We're about to talk Nats in a little while and talk about some of the heartbreaking losses that they snatched defeat from the drastic victory a couple of times last week.
Well, Anna, I hope that next week isn't a recap of the season episode and it's wow, we get to play Toronto or Tampa Bay episode. And just for people to know, the games are every other day. We don't necessarily know the time for Game 6 yet. We do know that tomorrow's game is at was 7:30. Yeah, and the Penguins Rangers is at 7, and Stars Flames is at 9:30 in that one. And then we play Friday. The time is to be determined. And then if there needs to be a Game 7, it would be on Sunday, time to be determined as well in Florida. So. Yeah, all the games are still on Comcast, NBC Sports Washington, and they will be for the rest of round 1, and then we lose our favorite commentators after that. But hopefully they'll do well, Anna, and I think you missed this week's show on Power Play, but if anyone wants to catch Gil giving his update on these, they can definitely check out the podcast partners button. Anna, any final thoughts before we let you go?
Nope, just go Caps.
Yep, go Caps.
All right, Anna,
all right, thanks, guys. Let's hope for a great week, and I'll see you next Monday, hopefully.
Yeah.
All right, talk to you next week.
Take care, guys. Bye.
All right.
Bye. All right, I'll let Brian come on in, and I will take my little break here, and I'll let you guys break down a baseball week that seemed very up and down and frustrating, but I'll be listening, and I'll come back to talk a little bit of basketball talk when you guys are done.
Yeah, it was definitely frustrating and inconsistent week for the Nationals. They gave you, some glimpse of hope that they might be able to turn it around. They definitely started scoring when they went on the road. They were getting better starting pitching, which has been one of the issues for the season throughout. The bullpen has been solid. Unfortunately, lately, the bullpen has been falling off, as we've seen tonight. As I said, they had a 2-0 lead, and the bullpen comes and immediately gives up 3 runs. And now the Mets just got a sacrifice fly to make it 4-2 in the top of the ninth with 1 man out, man on second and third. So Nats trying to hopefully hold this to not get a crooked number on the board and make it harder for them to come back in the bottom of the ninth. But going up against the top-ranked Mets, still can't believe I'm saying that. But yeah, the top-ranked Mets in this first game is a little frustrating. It's been epitome of this season so far. Get a lead, finally get some quality pitching from Corbin, and then the bullpen, which has been so solid, let you down when you need the most in this game. So we'll keep you updated during this Nats Talk segment to see if the Nats can pull this victory out. They're currently sitting 10-20. They were 2-4 last week, 4-6 the last 10. And like I said, it's been a frustrating start to the season, but that was to be expected coming into the rebuild and trading away some of the players we traded away last season. But before we get into it, Brian, how's it going, man? I know you and the Yankees are still riding high over there in the AL East. I think I did see y'all took a crazy loss to the Orioles. I know you don't probably want to talk about that. Or they might have came back on the Orioles. Who knows? I just saw the score flash up, and I said, I know Brian's probably cussing the TV out right now.
Well, actually, the Yankees did not play the Orioles this weekend. The Yankees are on fire right now. They're playing some great baseball. And I'm sorry. I'll apologize to everybody in advance if I seem distracted, because the Yankees are in a really close game right now with the Blue Jays, who is really their top competition in the AL East this year. It's tied 3-3 in the 8th inning. So I apologize to everybody if I seem distracted during this segment. But Yankees are on fire right now. I'm in a good mood because of it. I'm happy to be here with you, CP3, talk a little bit about the Nats. Bit of a tough week for the Nats, but I'm still happy to be here to talk about it anyway.
All right, man. Appreciate it. I don't know what game I was talking about then. I've been watching some of these.
Yeah, we didn't play the Orioles this week. I'm not sure where you got that from.
I mean, it must have been the Orioles beating somebody I wasn't expecting to beat. That's probably what it was.
Yeah.
I was hearing how bad they were supposed to be. I honestly checked them out. Got to get Tim on to talk about them one day. But, yeah, all right, let's get into the Nats.
I will just say the Orioles are not in last place. The Red Sox are, so.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know
just
that.
want to say that.
I know you're happy to say that. Very happy.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's get into the week that was for the Nationals. They ended up their road trip with a 3-game set against Colorado and a 3-game set to finish up against the Los Angeles Angels and getting a chance to see good old buddy Tony Two Bags and see the great Mike Trout and that damn Otani was getting to him in that third game that yeah, I'm still a little upset about. But let's go ahead and start out with one of the victories of the week last week was the first game against Colorado. It was a 10-2 victory. Eric Fetty earned his second victory of the season. That puts him at 2-2. He went 7 innings, giving up 6 hits, 1 run, 3 strikeouts, and 3 walks. Jermaine Marquez took the loss. That dropped him to 0-2. He went 5 innings, giving up 10 hits, 7 earned runs with 5 strikeouts and 2 walks. The Nats got a 3-run home run by Josh Bell in the top of the third to get the scoring started. Top of the fourth, Robles had a sacrifice fly. Top of the fifth, Soto hit a solo home run. And Ruiz had a 2 RBI single. In the top of the seventh, Yadier Hernandez had a 2-run RBI double. In the top of the ninth, Ruiz ended up scoring with the RBI single. Game 2 was a 5-2 loss. Let's see. I can't even pronounce that name. I'm gonna just say his last name. Gobert for Colorado earned the victory that put him at 2-2. He went 6 2/3, giving up 7 hits, 2 earned runs with 6 strikeouts and 1 walk. Patrick Corbin drops to 0-5. He went 6 innings, giving up 7 hits, 5 runs, 3 of those earned, 3 strikeouts and no walks. And Daniel Bernard, no, Daniel Bird. I'm sorry, Baird. Can't even get his name.
Bard. Daniel Bard.
Bard, something. He got the save. That was his 7th save of the season. He went 1 inning, giving up no hits, no runs with 2 strikeouts and no walks. At the top of the third, Christian Hernandez had an RBI single, and the top of the eighth, Lane Thomas hit a solo home run to account for the 2 runs for the Nats. And the last game of the series was a 9-7 loss. Another first name I'm not even gonna try to. Chassin, I could never get his first name right. I'm gonna try it, Brian. I'm gonna try. Heroles Chassin. I know it's probably not right, but I'm gonna give it a damn shot. He won the game. That put him at 1-2. He went 1 2/3, giving 2 hits, 1 earned run with 1 strikeout and no walks. Aaron Sanchez took the loss. That drops him to 1-2. He went 4 1/3, giving up 6 hits, 7 runs, 6 of those earned with 4 strikeouts and 2 walks. And Daniel Baird earned his 8th save of the season, going 1 inning, giving up 1 hit with no runs, no strikeouts, and no walks. Top of the first, Juan Soto got things started with the solo home run. Top of the fifth, I'm sorry, Josh Bell had an RBI double. Top of the sixth, Ruiz had a solo home run. Top of the seventh, Mikael Franco had an RBI double, and Ruiz got him home with the RBI double to follow that up in the top of the seventh. In the top of the eighth, Christian Fernandez had an RBI ground out to account for all the Nats scoring, but they couldn't come all the way back and earn the series win. Colorado was, one of the better teams in the West, even though they have what was it at the time of 16-9, they were third in the division, but they're in a tough division. So they're a solid team. The Nets had a chance to win 2 out of 3, had a chance to win all 3, but unfortunately, like you said, errors and some faulty starting pitching and sometimes some faulty mid relievers. And, they're still trying to find their way, but, it's a long season. We've seen worse, and hopefully they can get things on the right track. And like I said, we're still missing Strasburg, still missing Ross. And, also have to announce that Gerardo Parra officially retired, is now in a front office capacity working with Mike Rizzo on talent and development. So got to announce that too. So the Baby Shark has officially hung up his cleats and is now in the front office for the Nationals. But Brian, what did you take away from this Colorado series with the Nats? Because they actually did, Nats did come alive and they did get some better pitching than they were getting at home on that ugly homestand that we had before they went on the road.
Yeah, first off, I echo what you said about Parra. Obviously, a great Nat will always be remembered for 2019 and Baby Shark. And I'm glad to hear that I actually didn't know that until you just said it. I'm really glad to hear he got a front office job at the Nationals. That's really cool. So good for Baby Shark. That's awesome to hear. As far as Colorado series goes, Colorado, I feel like if they were in any other division other than the NL West, which is really tough, I think every team in the NL West is over 500 still at this point. So right now it's the toughest, one of the toughest, most competitive divisions in all of baseball. So if you put Colorado in pretty much any other division, they might be first, second place team. So this is a decent Colorado side. The first game, like you said, an offensive explosion at Coors Field. I will say, Juan Soto will probably not only make the All-Star team, he'll probably be a starter on the All-Star team. But I think they really got to consider putting Josh Bell on the All-Star team with the way he started the season. I think he's hitting like 340, 350 still at this point. I mean, Bell has been an absolute monster for this team, and he just continued it in this Colorado series. So good offense from the Nats in this series, from Soto, from Bell, and other guys as well. But again, the pitching lets them down. Patrick Corbin, I mean, you and I talked about it last week, CP3. I mean, he's been really bad this season, and it just continued in the middle game of the series. He's now 0-5 with a 7 ERA. I mean, this is a guy who was a big part of that World Series team, and he's been really, really not good this season. He's absolutely got to turn it around for the Nationals to have any success. But yeah, overall thoughts on the series: good hitting, but just the pitching wasn't there for the Nats at all, both starting and bullpen.
Yeah, I just got an update. Verlander was on a no-hit bid versus the Twins in the 7th inning for the Astros. And the Nats are in the bottom of the ninth with one man out, one man on with Yadier Hernandez at the plate. It's 0-2. He's a little over anxious. That's the one thing about the Nats right now at the plate that's really frustrating me. They're over anxious. They're trying to do too much. You can tell, swinging at first pitches, not taking their time at the plate. When you got a guy on the ropes, he's walked a couple of guys and the next guy comes up. Instead of seeing what he's got, he's swinging the first pitch and popping out and ending the threat or hitting it to a double play ball. So I just need them to, calm down and take a deep breath. I feel like they're trying to force things, trying to get things back on the right track. And hopefully they can pull off because they got a man on, get another man on and we in business. It's a high pitch. So it's 1-2. That was 100 miles an hour by Diaz. So let's see if Hernandez can get on and get Franco to the plate to see if we can make this a more interesting game. Let's finish up the recap of last week. They finished up the week with the 3-game series versus the Los Angeles Angels. This one didn't start out as well as Colorado. They unfortunately got shut out 3-0 in the first game. Let's see. Jonathan Diaz earned the victory for the Angels, and I forgot to put his victory count. That's my bad. He went 5 innings, giving up 3 hits, no runs, with 4 strikeouts and 4 walks. Joan Andone took the loss. That drops him to 1-5. He went 5 innings, giving up 3 hits, 3 runs, 6 Ks with 4 walks, and I can't even pronounce his first name. I guess it's I don't even want to try. Last name Iglesias. I'm not even going to try the first name. Earned his 7th save of the season. He went 1 inning, giving up no hits, no runs with a strikeout and no walks. It was a shutout, so there was no Nets highlights. And looks like, unfortunately, the Nets hit into a double play to end the threat and lose the first game of the series to the Mets 4-2. Mets had 4 runs, 8 hits, no errors. Nats had 2 runs, 8 hits, and 2 errors. And I believe whenever they have an error in the game, they're 0-13. So when they play clean, they have a better chance of winning. When they commit an error, it's pretty much a done deal. They haven't got it together enough to recover from a costly mistake that's giving runs or giving extra outs to the other team. The lone victory of the game of the series against the Angels was Jim pitched by Josiah Gray, the lone bright spot on the pitching staff. That puts him to 4-2. He went 5 in the third, giving up 5 hits, 3 runs, 3 strikeouts, and 2 walks. I say it was a gem because he was in a lot of high leverage situations. In 5 innings, he was in there with the Angels' potent lineup, and he was able to, get out of there pretty much unscathed, only giving up 3 runs when the Nats, were getting some runs on the board to give him support. Uh, Michael Lorenzen took the loss. That drops him to 3-2. He went 4 2/3, giving up 5 hits, 5 runs, 7 strikeouts, and 2 walks. Josh Bell got the scoring going in the top of the first with a solo home run. Yadiel Hernandez in the top of the second had a solo home run. And in the top of the fourth, Michael Franco had a 2-run RBI single in the top of the fourth to account for the Nats runs. And it looks like Toronto just took the series lead against Tampa Bay. I think I just saw it come across that Toronto beat Tampa Bay. So I know Robbie will probably have an update before we go into basketball. And the last game of the weekend series was a heartbreaking loss with a blown save. The first one by Tanner Rainey this season. But Jamie Berea earned the victory. He put him at 1-0. He went 2 innings, gave up no hits, no runs, and 2 strikeouts and no walks. Tanner Rainey took the loss. That put him at 0-1. He went 2/3 of an inning, giving up 3 hits, 3 runs, 2 strikeouts, and 1 walk. Top of the third, Soto had a fielder's choice. They gave the Nats the lead. Top of the sixth, Lane Thomas had a sacrifice fly. And Escobar had an RBI single. The top of the seventh, Josh Bell had an RBI single. The Nats were up pretty comfortable. I believe it was 4-0, and the Angels got 2 runs, I believe, in the bottom of the seventh. And unfortunately, Tanner Rainey came in to close the game. And unfortunately, couldn't get the job done against 3 of the best hitters in the league. I can't be mad because they pretty much kept Mike Trout and Ohtani quiet and Rendon quiet for the whole series. And unfortunately, they got the hits when they needed them. Trout got on, Ohtani got on, and Rendon, Ohtani tied the game with the RBI double, and Rendon won the game with the RBI single, scoring Ohtani for second to give the Nets a 2-4 week, losing the series and coming back home to face the division leading Mets, and unfortunately losing the first game of this series tonight, 4-2 at home. Brian, how did you like that matchup against the Angels? Even though it was a series loss, they played them tough. They pretty much shut down the part of their lineup, But like I said, at the time when it counted, they couldn't get it, all the way done. But it was definitely, like I said, they got some offense. They, had some consistency, but still couldn't, get the job done when needed because of, a bullpen issue or an early pitching issue from the starter. So what did you take away from this series with the Angels?
Yeah, the Angels, it feels kind of different with the Angels this year. I don't know what it is, but they feel like they're like putting it all together. They're off to a really great start this season. And I feel like that was kind of personified in the Sunday comeback. I'm sure that really hurt for Nats fans to not only lose a game like that, where you have a lead in the ninth inning, but to give up the game-winning hit to a former Nat, and Anthony Rendon, who was such a huge part of this team for so many years. I'm sure that stung. You're right. The Nats actually did a pretty good job of holding Mike Trout and Ohtani and all the great Angels bats in this series. For most of it, they did a pretty good job. They out-hit the Angels in this series, and then that last inning, it just kind of all came apart. You can only shut them down for so long. And, I mean, Ohtani is just freaking incredible. I mean, what he's doing right now is just – I mean, he could very well win the MVP again this season. He's a dual player. I watched the highlights of their game last night. He had 2 home runs, including a grand slam against the Rays. I mean, he's just an absolute beast, and Mike Trout is unbelievable too. So this is a good Angels team. There's really no shame in losing 2 out of 3 to them, but I'm sure you have to be frustrated, especially because the last game was so winnable. And like I said, to give up the hit to Rendon, I mean, I can't speak for Nats fans because I'm not a Nats fan, but I'm sure that absolutely sucks. Somebody who, like I said, big part of this team for a long, long time, and I'm sure it was weird for him too to get that hit. I couldn't have been comfortable all around.
Yeah, he was quiet all weekend pretty much, and I kind of blame myself because I was in here watching the game, and I know they will have it on MLB Network. You know, I hear the comment. I don't really like the commentators that they have. I miss FP Santangelo. I know about the controversy or whatever, but I miss FP. And Bob Carpenter wasn't on, so I flipped the channel to MLB Network just to hear, you know, when he got Trout. You know, he didn't give up any damage to Trout. So I was like, okay, I want to hear the call of some MLB guys, and that was my crucial mistake, Brian. Once I turned the channel, I messed with the baseball guys, and they made. I felt partially responsible for that loss. I felt like I got
Jinxed it.
yeah, I felt like I
Jinxed
got
it.
part of the blown save for Tanner Rainey. So my MLB career, I got half a save. I mean, half a blown save on my record. It did hurt. It was a gut punch to get it by Tony Two Bags, and that was one of my favorite players when he was here. Hated to see him go. He's been struggling a little bit in LA, so I don't know. Franco's been playing well at third, so I don't see the Nats making a move for him. But I would love to see him back in the Nats uniform.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's look at the upcoming week. Right now, the Nats are currently now 10-21. They have a 3-game series with the Mets this week. Tomorrow is a 7 o'clock start. Thursday is a 1 o'clock start. And then the Houston Astros, Brian's favorite team.
Yes.
This
is just Brian hate week at Nats Park. The Mets, the Astros, they're just bringing in all the teams I just absolutely hate.
And his favorite manager, Dusty Baker, is making his first trip back to Nats Park. And the Astros, their first trip back here since the World Series. Friday is a 7 o'clock start. Saturday is a 7 o'clock start. And Sunday is a 1:35 start. So hopefully the Nats can get at least 500 this week. They had a chance to at least hit 500 last week. And unfortunately, a walk-off for the Angels ended that. But I'm hoping they can at least be 500 because, I don't want to be looking at a 90, 100 loss season again. I remember those days. I don't want to go back there. So what do you think our chances are getting a 500 record this week against those two teams, Brian?
Yeah, this is going to be a very tough week for the Nats. I mean, like you said, they've already lost the first game tonight. Mets are in first place in the NL East. They're off to an incredible start. This, like I talked about the Angels, how this kind of feels like a different Angels team. Well, this feels like a very, very different Mets team. From this is not the Mets you and I grew up with that suck. This is a different Mets team. They look really good this season. And I don't know, they almost feel like they're on a mission this year as well. So it's going to be tough against the Mets. Plus, they've also already handled the Nats already. The only other time they played the season in the 4-game series at Nats Park to open the season, the Mets won 3 out of 4. So we'll see. That's going to be tough. And the Astros, as I call them, are red hot right now. As much as I hate to say it, they've won 7 games in a row. They are on their way to winning their 8th straight tonight. Like you said, Justin Verlander is actually currently throwing a no-hitter in Minnesota against the Twins. So we'll see if he's able to complete that tonight. Verlander's still in the game, it looks like. So we'll see if Verlander's able to complete the no-hitter tonight. The only thing keeping the Astros out of first place in their division is the Angels, who have gotten off to as equally as impressive a start. But it's going to be I think it could be a real dogfight between the Angels and the Astros the rest of the way in that division. Carol, this is going to be a tough week for the Nats. I'm glad. It's an exciting week for sure. I mean, these are two of the best teams in the game right now. And it's a 2019 World Series rematch. There's a lot of reasons if you want to go out to the ballpark to go out to the ballpark this week. But I don't know. I think it's going to be a tough one for the Nats. Two very good teams coming to town.
All right. Well, I appreciate that synopsis. I'm not an AL guy, so I didn't know that Astros were heating up that well. I know Dusty Baker just won his 2000th game as a manager, so I know they were playing well. Didn't know they were playing that well, but like it's going to be another long week for the Nats as a Nats fan. At least I got Capitals hockey to keep me occupied keep me on the high level. But as Brian, I appreciate you helping me break down the MLB. And Did you want to have any American League shout outs or anything you want to talk about other than the Yankees? I got to get some AL talk on.
No, I'll just say I hope the Yankees are now down 5-3 in their games tonight. So hopefully they're able to make a comeback. It's the 8th inning in that one against Toronto. It's been a very tense, tight game tonight. A lot of the umpires threw out one of the Blue Jays pitchers throwing at one of the Yankees. They thought it was intentional. So there's been a lot of drama tonight at the Yankees game. So hopefully the Yankees are able to come back and pull it off. But I don't really have too much to add. It's been another good week in baseball. And just, good luck to the Nats. It's gonna be a difficult week for sure, but we'll see how they get through it.
All right, I'm glad you mentioned something about the umpires. That jogged my memory. I saw
They
something.
suck.
Yeah, I agree. I have no argument on it. But I saw something with I don't know what team it was, but apparently their starting catcher was already injured, and the backup catcher got thrown out from the dugout apparently because he was chirping at the umpire, and a position player that hadn't played catcher since like the minors had to go in as a catcher, and he gave her like 7 runs in the first inning of that shit.
Yeah, I think that was the Pirates. I think I heard about that too.
We got to, hey, Brian, we've already talked about electronic strike zone and how I feel like that would help the game, speed it up, get a consistent strike zone. But these umpires are really starting to get on my nerves thinking that they're bigger than the game, thinking they're getting shown up or they can't get talked to or talked about like they're perfect. Now, this situation right here where it really affects the outcome of a game when you're throwing out a player just because he might have disagreed with you or maybe he didn't shut up from the dugout. But you know the situation, so now you're handicapping a team because you want to be a dick. And you feel like somebody's showing you up because you're the almighty home plate umpire and everybody's the 20,000, 30,000 fans are coming there to see you call a game, not to see these players play on the field. When is this going to come to an end? You're the baseball guy. You've been probably watching baseball long. When does the frustration get to you when you're ready to start a petition to get these damn umpires out the game and just get to an electronic strike zone and just call it a day?
It's this year. I don't know what it is, but it feels like the umpires this year are just like it feels like they feel like everybody's come to see them, and we're seeing it more and more. And like the last week, there was this crazy incident with Madison Bumgarner and the umpire. The umpire was like checking his hand really closely, and Bumgarner got pissed, and Bumgarner got thrown out of the game. There's so many quick triggers by umpires. I thought, for example, the one in the Yankee game tonight, even though it was a Blue Jay getting ejected, I was like, damn, that is a really quick trigger. I don't know why. Like, I didn't think it was intentional at all, and so it just feels like these guys are here. They just want. They feel like all the eyes are on them, so they got to do something big. It's happening. It's an epidemic, man. I don't know. I've had enough of it, to be honest. This is the first year I've like really been fed up with the umpire. I don't know what they can do, like as far as like robot umpires or anything like that, but the quick triggers and everything, all the constant ejections, they got chill. It's too much.
I agree, man. Something has to be done, man. They need to start finding these umpires or something, man, because they're getting outrageous with some of these, throwing these players out and, changing the outcome of the game because, like you said, everybody's coming to see them call a game, not to see the players play the game. It's starting to really get on my nerves.
Agreed.
All right, well,
Carol, I wanted to talk a little bit of Mystics before I get into the NBA with Brian. So I wanted to talk to you about that because the Mystics won a huge game tonight, and they're the first team in the WNBA to actually get to 3 wins. I know it's still early in their season, but they are currently undefeated. They got a win over Vegas tonight. It was 76-89. That was actually televised. I was watching it before the game. They won their season opener against Indiana, 84-70. They won the second game at Minnesota. That was a 78-66 lead, and then again this Vegas, they won 89-76. They've got 2 more games upcoming. One against Dallas on Friday here, and then one at Dallas next Tuesday. So we'll only have one more game to break down next week. But Carol, what are your thoughts on the Mystics team to start the WNBA season.
Yeah, it's definitely a good start for them. I've been trying to watch them closely. I think I watched the first game, but haven't had a chance to watch any other ones. But it's good to see them get off to a good start and see if they can get back to that championship form. I haven't even really looked at the roster to see if they still have, they still have Elena Deladon and some of the players that was on that championship team. But yeah, we definitely want to start getting more into the Mystics coverage.
Deladon had 19 points tonight. On 15, Atkins had Ariel Atkins had 13. Yeah, we got some players that I've definitely seen on the roster before. So yeah, we'll break it down more. I just wanted to mention it because I got to watch part of that game earlier and it looked good. Scoring 89 points. That was my thought on that. Any other thoughts, Carol, on, I know I wanted to also just quickly give a scoring update. Toronto, right after we were talking about them, were able to go up by 1 again. Remember, Tampa Bay had tied it when I last mentioned it earlier in the show. So Tampa Bay, with an Austin Matthews goal, actually took the lead in that game and was able to hold on for that victory. So they now have a 3-2 lead in that series, heading back to Tampa Bay for Game 6. And again, we talked about earlier, Hurricanes beat the Bruins 5-1. Kings are beating the Oilers 1-0. The Wild are beating the Blues 2-1 right now. But Carol, any final thoughts on any of that before we switch into NBA talk?
No, I was actually just flipped it to the Phoenix Dallas game. First quarter is over. Dallas is up 26-24, and that's a good segue for you guys to get into your NBA talk. And I'll go ahead and step back and let you guys break that down.
All right, sounds good. Appreciate you, Carol. And I even had a Mystics graphic that I didn't even put up. Well, that's too bad. Let me just put up the playoff one real quick. For that's the thing that I always forget to do. So tonight, let me actually share my screen real fast, and then we can have some up on screen real quick. Safari. Let's talk about this Heat series first, since it was tonight. We can talk about actually. Hold on. All right. Fix something here. Dang it. I hate when that happens. Hold on. Sorry, my screen went out. Sorry, I just have to really quickly add another source.
All good?
Well, Brian, while I do that, why don't you talk about the 76ers Heat, a game that was tonight, which the Heat were leading 120-85.
Just on this series overall, the first 2 games, the Sixers did not have Joel Embiid. And Miami, I believe, won the first 2 games fairly easily in this series. They weren't really close, and I thought this was going to be a short series. No disrespect to the Sixers players, but I just don't really trust Doc Rivers, their coach, in a big spot like this. But and I wasn't sure if Embiid was actually going to come back in this series. He was dealing with concussion. I believe he also had a fractured orbital bone as well. But he was able to come back in Game 3. Game 3 was a pretty low-scoring game. But the Sixers still won by 20. I feel like having Embiid and having his presence on the court really helped in that game. You can tell the crowd was into it. Embiid was wearing a special mask as well, and the Sixers were able to win that game. And then they were able to even up the series in Game 4. James Harden has been really criticized a lot in these playoffs for not really playing up to his potential, but he had a huge Game 4 for the Sixers. He had 31 points. And they were able to even the series up. But tonight, total team effort from Miami down in South Beach, a real dominating performance. I watched a good portion of this game, and it was never really close from the start. Miami pretty much dominated from start to finish. Got a 120-85 victory tonight. Just a really nice team effort. I'm looking at the box score right now for the Heat. All 5 starters scored in double figures. Jimmy led the way with 23 points for them. Bam Adebayo had 12 points. Struss had 19 points as well. He's been a nice little player for the Heat. And so now they have a chance to eliminate the Sixers in Game 6. Like I said, I don't really believe in Doc Rivers as a head coach, especially in the playoffs. So I kind of like the Heat's chances. I much rather trust Eric Spoelstra in the spot than Doc Rivers for sure. So I think personally, the Heat are probably going to close this out in 6 games, if I had to guess.
Yeah. All right. I think I finally got it up and working again. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I see it now.
All right. So let's just talk about the series for just a second. Overall, Miami now leads 3-2. 76ers have played well at home. What are your thoughts going forward on the Game 6 on Thursday and a Game 7, if necessary, on Sunday?
I mean, like I just said, I really do not trust Doc Rivers in this spot. I've seen him lose too many playoffs. The only ring he has was when he had 3 iconic Celtics players in their prime still. So I just don't trust Doc Rivers in the spot, but I do trust Eric Spoelstra in the Heat. I think they're going to close it out in Game 6 on Thursday.
All right. Let's get into some of these other series real quick. I'm going to pull it up this way because it wasn't working before. But anyway, so this is the Dallas Mavericks against the Suns right now. It's a very close game. Right on my screen, I had the Mavericks are up 28-25. I see here Google is not quite as up to date. So the series right now is tied 2-2. It started off with the Suns taking Game 1 and 2 in Phoenix, and the Mavericks taking Games 3 and then 4. And so this is Game 5 here back at Phoenix. What are your thoughts on this series?
Yeah, this has been a good series so far. The home team has won every game so far. Luka Doncic we all know how great Luka Doncic is, but his supporting cast, I think, has been pretty good in this series as well, especially in the wins for the Dallas Mavericks. Just looking at Game 4, Luka led the way for them with 26 points, but Dorian Finney-Smith also had a huge performance for the Mavs in that game, especially with some big buckets down the stretch. He had 24 points in Game 4 for the Mavericks. They also got, even Frank Ntilikina is playing some big minutes for this team. Dallas has been kind of surprising. If they can steal, I'm not expecting it, but if they can steal Game 5 tonight in Phoenix, I think they can definitely close out the series. But Phoenix is a really good team for sure. They have a really great home court advantage. They won the first 2 games relatively easily on their home court, especially the second game. They won by 20 points, 129-109. And Devin Booker's been great all series for the Suns. This has been really fun. I can see the series on. I could personally see this. It's been a good series to watch. I can see the series going 7. They're going to need, but I think Dallas is really, at the end of the day, they're going to need a superhuman effort from Luka to overcome this Suns team. This is just a really good Suns team. There's been some tense moments in this series as well. Chris Paul was awful in Game 4 of the series. One of the worst games, period, of Chris Paul's career for the Suns. Actually, it was Game 3. Game 4. Sorry, Game 4. Chris Paul was terrible. He also had a moment with some fans. Some fans apparently were from what I've heard, they were shoving his wife and his mother. And Chris Paul was pretty heated about that. You kind of understand that. But he needs to start living up to his potential a bit in this series. He needs to start having some big games for the Suns to get through, because what happened in Game 4 with him just won't cut it the rest of the way. But this has been a good series so far.
This is a crazy play. I don't know if you're watching this live game, but Bertans goes to the hole. He gets fouled hard, but there was a player that ran out to try to stop him and got injured on that play too.
I think replay.
Yeah. So they're now reviewing this play. I'm going to be interested to see. So they said there was no flagrant foul. Because anyway, but because Crowder goes and
Yeah, I don't think that's flagrant. I don't think that's
I
flagrant.
agree, but there was a chance for two different players to get injured on that play. It was just kind of a crazy play. Up 30-28. It's just weird to see Bertans as part of it since he was, part of our team.
And credit, I got to give credit to Bertans and Dinwiddie. They've both been playing all right for the Mavericks in this series. That's nice to see, I guess, if you're a Wizards fan. I think that trade's going to work out well for both teams.
Right. All right. Let's talk about some of these other series real quick. I'm going to go out of this and go. So then we're going to talk about the Bucks versus the Celtics series. That is tied. The Bucks won the first game 101-89. Game 2, the Celtics came back and won in Boston 109-86. Milwaukee won the first game in Milwaukee 103-101, a very close game. But then the Celtics won yesterday a 116-108 victory to tie the series at 2. So that both teams split at home. And again, this game is going to be in Boston tomorrow at 7. And so it's game 5. Game 6 would be Friday to be determined. And if necessary, game 7 would be on Sunday. Brian, what are your thoughts on this series?
This has been a great series. I think I've maintained from the start that whoever wins this series, I think will ultimately win the Eastern Conference and play in the NBA Finals. This series has been a lot of fun from the start. These are two really good teams. That game 3 in particular, that the Bucks won by 2 points was really close and really tight to the end. Jason Tatum had a terrible performance for the Celtics in that game. Really cost them in that game. He was 4 of 19 from the field. He was 0 of 6 from 3. Jaylen Brown was 1 of 5 from 3. They needed to get more from those two players. They want any chance to win. Giannis was amazing once again. He had 42 points from the Bucks. If the Celtics can't find a way to stop Giannis, I don't see any way they can to win the series. He's just that good. I mean, he's an incredible player. He's right now, in my opinion, the face of the NBA. And then last night's game was also really good. Came down to the wire as well. Al Horford, I got to give credit to Al Horford for the Celtics, had probably the best game. I want to say, just from maybe not from a pure statistical standpoint, but from a pure clutch standpoint, this was probably one of the best games of Al Horford's career. There was a moment late in the game where he got dunked on by Giannis Antetokounmpo, and there was this look in Al Horford's face. He was like, okay, I see how it's going to be. And from that moment on, Al Horford really turned it on for the Celtics. You see it right now on the screen. He had 30 points, several huge buckets for the Celtics down the stretch in this game. And they were able to win 116-108 to even the series up. This has been a great series. I think the series probably going 7, in my opinion. It reminds me a lot of last year's series between the Nets and the Bucks, where same thing. I felt like the winner of that series, whoever did win it, was going to win the East. And that's kind of how I feel this year. But I really still think Milwaukee will find a way to take it. This has been a really good series so far, and I'm really excited for the game tomorrow night. It's gonna be really fun.
That's awesome. All right, let's get into the last series real quickly. The Golden State Warriors are up 3-1, but this is how it happened. The Warriors won their first game by 1 point, 117-116. Talked about that one last week. And then the Grizzlies came back and won game 2, 106-101. It switches to Golden State. Golden State wins 142-112 on Saturday. And then yesterday they won a much closer game, 101-98. Game number 5 is tomorrow at 9:30. Game 6 is Friday, time to be determined. And game 7, if necessary, would be actually during our podcast next week on Monday. So that could be very exciting if it does go 7. Brian, what are your thoughts on this series?
I thought this was going to be a great series, especially after that first game. I was on here last week, and I said that the first game was probably the best game I've watched in the playoffs so far. Maybe it's been overtaken by the Celtics-Bucks game 3 at this point, but that first game was really great. But and the Grizzlies were able to even it up. That second game is where even though the Grizzlies were able to win that game, I feel like that's where things kind of changed, because that's where Dillon Brooks got ejected very early in that game, and he got suspended for Game 3 for the Grizzlies on a very, very hard foul on Gary Payton, who's still out he's out for probably the rest of the playoffs for the Warriors. And I feel like the Warriors almost were able to rally around that and win these next 2 games at their home arena. You see the dominating effort in Game 3. They won by 30 points, 142 to 112 in that game. A really dominating effort. And last night's game was very exciting. Grizzlies actually led for a good portion of the last night's game. I should mention a couple things about last night's game. One, Ja Morant suffered an injury in Game 3, and he was out for Game 4. It's since been revealed he's going to be out for the rest of the playoffs, which really sucks because Ja Morant is a great player and one of the young faces of this league. You don't want to see him have his season end like that. And also for the Warriors, Steve Kerr, their coach, was also out for Game 4 because he was placed into the COVID protocol. So their backup or their assistant head coach, Mike Brown, had to coach this game for the Warriors. So hopefully Steve Kerr gets well soon. And he's able.
It's so nice that they have a NBA coach as their backup, though.
Right.
Somebody who's done it for so long.
Mike Brown was already. He was actually. It's kind of funny. He was that day. He was appointed as the head coach of the Sacramento Kings. So it's crazy how they could just like plug in another NBA head coach to coach their team. So that's a really nice luxury the Warriors have. But yeah, this was a good game. This Game 4, I watched a good portion of it. The Grizzlies did lead for a lot of the game, but the Warriors were just clutch down the stretch. You're looking at the numbers here. Steph, amazing, 32 points, and some huge threes for the Warriors. And I think they're with Ja Morant being out, the Grizzlies actually did have a very good record this season without Ja Morant, which is kind of funny because he's their best player by far. But they actually played very well without him in the regular season. But I think that's just going to be a bridge too far in the postseason.
Pretty well in this game too. It only lose by 3 points.
I know. Yeah, it's weird how they're able to.
And the Warriors had to outscore them by 10 in the fourth to get that victory. I mean,
yeah.
You know.
I could see Memphis maybe pushing this to 6, but to ask them to win the series against this Golden State team that's been there before, has been experienced in these playoff situations, I think that just might be too much to ask.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's an exciting time of year. It's cool to see how these series have been. I'm happy you've been able to break it down. I've been watching a lot more of the hockey series. It's hard to watch both. But I'm really excited that you and the team have been able to break down these NBA series so far. I know that next week you might not be on the show, but I'm sure we'll get one of the other guys to do it. Or if not, I'll just go through and run through the scores and how the series turned out and just let people know what's coming up next week. But Brian, I did want to mention, I'm going to end the screen share here. And I got to fix one thing. Okay. So I wanted to talk about DC United for just a second because I was happy to see that they did get a big victory yesterday. I think it was, right? Yeah. It was Houston a Dynamo game.
Yep, on Saturday.
Saturday, right. I'm sorry. Yep. It's been a week. All right, yeah, Saturday. But it was a good win, and as it Fountunas, how do you pronounce his name?
Yeah, it's they call him Taxi. His name Aaron Judge, I think, just hit a walk-off home run. Yes. Sorry, nice. I'm sorry.
No, that's good. I'm happy you can be excited.
Hell yes. I'm sorry.
We like breaking it. You don't have to be sorry. You can be excited for your team.
Oh yes. That was awesome. Oh man.
I don't usually get live reactions of people. I don't get live reactions to people getting walk-off home runs, so that's kind of cool.
That was awesome. Hell yes. All right.
I'll give a quick little scoring update. Well, I'll give a quick scoring update to reset us. Dallas is up 38-36 right now. 5:57 in the second quarter. LA is up 1-0 over Edmonton. I finally turned on my ESPN Plus app because my cable wasn't working. And I was like, well, I'm going to still watch that game. So, so what was the final score in the Yankees game?
Aaron Judge just hit a walk-off 3-run home run to give the Yankees a 6-5 win.
Oh, wow. 6-5. So you needed all those runs.
Yes, sir. Awesome moment against the Blue Jays. Hell yes. Oh yes.
Nice. The Blue Jays, Toronto got a win in hockey, which I'm sure they're much more happy about than they care about their baseball.
They can have.
So, exactly. All right, well, let's go back to DC United. So he goes by Taxi?
Taxi. They call him Taxi. Taxi Fountas. Yeah.
Yes.
And he scored twice this weekend.
Yeah, 35th minute and the 43rd minute. So that's two in a pretty short period of time. And the only 2 goals by anybody in this game.
Yep.
An exciting win for DC United, who have up and down season so far. They lost to the Columbus Crew 3-0. We talked about that one last week. And upcoming on May 14th, they play Miami CF at Miami. And that's an 8:00 game. How is he doing this year?
Miami's kind of an interesting story. They got off to a really bad start. This is their 3rd season in MLS, I think. They have some pretty famous ownership. They're owned by David Beckham in some capacity. So they definitely have some famous ownership. But, they've been a bit of an up and down story this year. They got off to a terrible start. Then they won some games in a row. Then I believe they lost 2 games in a row. Then they won this past weekend. So it'll be an interesting challenge. I would say they're probably at about the same level as DC United. Same plane, I would say. Kind of like a fringe, just maybe barely on the outside looking in type team. But the MLS is always tough. And it feels like a lot of teams are getting better this year. For example, like Cincinnati has gotten a lot better this year. Montreal's gotten better. Charlotte in their first year is surprising teams as well. So it could be a bit of a tough road for the DC United the rest of the way. We'll see how it goes. Two other soccer stories I kind of want to mention quickly here that are both DMV related, DC related, is that one, on July 20th, DC United will be playing Bayern Munich, who are one of the top German team. I mean, they've won the Bundesliga 10 years in a row. They are one of the top powerhouses in all of Europe. And the fact that DC United will be playing them at Audi Field on July 20th is just awesome. I'm hoping to go to that game. That'll be really cool to see at the Audi Field. So get your tickets for that. And also, it was just announced today that my favorite soccer team, Arsenal, is coming to Baltimore this summer, just a couple days before Bayern comes to DC. That game is July 16th. They're playing Everton at the Ravens Stadium, M&T Bank Stadium, I think it's called. So I'm gonna try and get to as many of those games against these top teams as I possibly can. It should be a great summer for hopefully soccer in the DC area.
That's amazing that we got 2 big things. There is a soccer hotbed in this area. It's frustrating because they don't exist so much on Facebook and on Twitch and stuff like that, or there's not a lot of groups because I've joined all of them and they're pretty dead. But
hey, shout out to my guy Christian, by the way, who's holding down the US the soccer group that he added me to. That group's awesome. Shout out to Christian.
Yeah, he is awesome. He's a friend of the show. He's been on our show before as well. He's a big hockey fan. It's frustrating because I wish that we could have more of a United following and more of a soccer following, because I think it's a really cool sport. I used to coach it, help EJ coach it, and I've always enjoyed talking about it with Brian, and I still have yet to get to Audi Field. I need to, and it's something that I really want to do when the kids get a little older. I am happy to say that Zach does do soccer every Saturday. It's an important part of our weekend. He does do T-ball every Sunday. So the last 2 segments that we just did, he's learning both of those sports. So that's kind of cool. And definitely 2 sports that I want to continue him to know in the future. Interleague baseball, as well as the major league ones as well. So I appreciate you for helping me break both down: soccer, and baseball every week. And the following week for DC United, they'll actually have 2 games, so we'll talk about that, including one against your favorite team. So they play New York City FC on Wednesday, May 18th, and Toronto FC on Sunday, May 21st. So we'll recap how they did against Miami. Maybe not. If you're not, so I'll just give the score. But if you are on, we can talk about that, and we'll talk about the New York FC game. And but I always love you breaking it down. I know as the summer continues, you'll continue to talk soccer with us.
Yeah, definitely.
Brian, are you doing a show this week on your podcast? And let people know.
If I have time, I'll do an episode this week. Things are kind of busy at my job right now. We're pretty short-handed, so I've got a lot of stuff to tend to there. But if I have the time, I'll get it done. But other than that, thanks for having me on, guys. Always a pleasure. Still fired up about what just happened in the Yankee game, so I think I'm going to go celebrate that for the rest of my night. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys joining me. I really appreciate you guys letting me join you, I should say. But yeah, thanks, guys. I'll talk to you guys next time.
Sounds good, Brian. Appreciate it as always.
Go ahead and go enjoy your Gatorade bath, man.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna dump the Gatorade all over my head.
All right, Brian. Take it easy.
Later, guys.
All right, later. All right, Carol, we got a lot of sports in here. We got women's basketball, which I want to give a quick little shout out, which we include in our district merch, which people were interested in and asking me questions about the other day. It still is available on our website, sportsothp.com, as well as all the podcasts and all the different videos, including other shows that I've been on, some of our victory videos as well I posted on there, and Carol's YouTube, you can get that on sportsothp.com. It's got a ton of great content, including highlight videos. I've got some scuba content on there. This actually, when I upload this video, Carol, to my YouTube channel, it'll be my 300th YouTube video, so that's kind of cool. And yeah, so I'm excited. And this upcoming weekend, I'm going to be taking Zach to his very first concert, AJR. I'm super excited about that. I always film concert videos. They tend to do pretty well on my channel. They usually get about like 1,000 views, which are the most viewed stuff on there. And I hope that people like to see his very first concert. I'm going to document that for him. It's his favorite band. He knows every song. Like, he's only 3.5, all the words. It's crazy. I'm just super excited to see that for him. And hopefully the Caps can find a way to win 2 out of these next 3 games. I just want to give a quick score update. Phoenix is up 44-42 over Dallas. 2 minutes left in the first half. Still up 1-0 over Edmonton with about a minute left in the first period in that game. But Carol, any final thoughts before I let you go and I do my quick little post-game thing on my show?
No, as always, appreciate you guys tuning in, checking us out. We're covering everything, bringing you the, best DC sports coverage around, live look-ins, updates on everything that's going on. Make sure you check out the website, sportsothp.com. Unfortunately, to my YouTube viewers, I refreshed my software and forgot to refresh my YouTube link, so now I'll have to upload the show to YouTube. So unfortunately, YouTube viewers who I promoted for them to watch the show tonight are probably a little upset because there's nothing on my channel right now. And yeah, congratulations.
That's okay. You're on Twitch live. We don't even talk about that. I'm on Twitch, but loving all the people coming through.
Yeah, I still got to figure out that with you. We got to talk offline because I'm totally lost for Twitch right now. So yeah, I definitely got to figure out.
Yeah, if we actually, I was thinking maybe we should start saving your VODs because if you had, it's one click and you could send it right to YouTube, which would have been easy for you. So maybe the reason alone as a backup to keep your VODs on your Twitch. But we can talk about that offline.
Yeah, definitely. But so yeah, I'll be uploading that either tonight or tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. And if you're in the market for a new or used vehicle, come check me out down at Waldorf Honda, 2450 Crane Highway. New credit, no credit, bad credit. Let me get a chance to earn your business. Got a great financial team that can get the deal done for you. As always, check out the YouTube channel, Carol Porter III with 3 eyes. I'm in the show with independent videos. I'm also playing one of the tracks that I produced for local artist, Brian Hart Submissive. Check it out. It's on all platforms, along with some of the tracks that I play from Renegade and some of the other guests that we have on At the Bar Radio on there every Sunday night around 6 o'clock, covering the entertainment, news, sports, independent music, current events, and all that good stuff. And we have some different types of liquors on there that we talk about and, have a little fun on the show. So make sure you check us out. Appreciate y'all as always. CP3, RobbieG, live from the lab in the man cave. See you next week. DC Sports Without the Politics. It's not just a catchphrase. It's not just a motto. It's what we do. And we out. See you next week.
Money. I love that money.
Lucas.
Money, 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 money. Money, 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 money. Money, 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 money. Money, 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 money. You don't really want to play. Money, 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 money's what I'm talking about. We don't really know what you been talking about. And you don't really want to play. You don't know what to say. It's money, 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 money's what I'm talking about. We don't really know what you always been talking about. And I don't wanna be the one who always really talk about. And you don't really want to play. You don't know what to say. It's money, 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 money's what I'm talking about. Money, 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 make you shut him off. Don't never ever talk about it if you never had the clout. You don't know what to say. Stay up out of my way. Cause money, 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 make you shut him off. Keep playing with these goodies, boy, I'm gonna have to make the call. Stay in bounds on your pivot, boy, if you gon' fall. Cause a lot of niggas be fake, and you really can't play. Cause we done got it out the mud, nigga, what you talking about? Screaming, oh my God, money got me pride. They living a lie, look into my eyes, they might seem surprised. This is homicide. We just multiply, we been on the rise. If we got some wings, fuck it, we gon' have to fly. Money, 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 what I'm talking about. Day in my life, take me a different route. Use all my cash, niggas on my face. You can get it erased, what you talking about. Money, 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 money's what I'm talking about. We don't really know what you been talking about. And you don't really want to play. You don't know what to say. It's money, 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 money's what I'm talking about. We don't really know what you always been talking about. And I don't wanna be the one who always really talk about. And you don't really want to play. You don't know what to say. Cause money, 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 money's what I'm talking about. You never crossing these borders. I'm whipping it up, Gordon Ramsay. I swear that I'm cooking these orders. You talk about me, you better just hope that you can just really afford it. I'm balling, I'm balling, I'm winning, I'm winning. I'm feeling like Robert Sahara, nigga, I'm scoring. I count in the morning. They talk about me, then I gotta ignore it. My bitches be foreign, so independent, my money be corporate. These rappers is boring. You hate me and I'm always gonna adore it. I'm smoking that soaring. She always go ahead and let me explore it. I call her my Dora. You can go and talk about me, I ain't flawless. I go put my all in. If a nigga talk about me, then I'm gone in. You know that I'm gone in. Jump in, take trips, Pompeii, all day, always keep 3 stacks like Andre. I get it, I get it, I get it, I get it, man. And you can never, ever, ever get rid of that. So watch what you say, and watch how you do. If you play the game, then you play by the rules. Money, 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 money's what I'm talking about. We don't really know what you been talking about. And you don't really want to play. You don't know what to say. Cause money, 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 money's what I'm talking about. We don't really know what you always been talking about. And I don't wanna be the one who always really talk about. And you don't really want to play. You don't know what to say. Cause money, 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 money's what I'm talking about.
can copy us, but none can duplicate us. DJ Jules.
Yo, M20, where you at? Run that up, Rico. I've been dreaming about you all night. Desiring the pain, my body shifting all night. Literally submissive, baby. Submissive, baby. Submissive, baby. I'm thinking about you, dreaming about you, waking I can find you. All the pieces it take to make a perfect bitch is right in my view. Hey, is it real right now, girl? Are you really in my world? She gon' take that shit back if she say what she don't mean. She's my helping hand, she gon' try to further me and rub my back at night. She gon' always nurture me. She gon' give me my space, and I gon' think I deal with somebody else. She ain't gon' stay in her place and let me take control like nobody else. She the true definition of a chick that ain't in competition with these other bitches. She gon' grant my wishes, never act malicious as she do the dishes. Yeah. I've been dreaming about you all night. Desiring the pain, my body shifting all night. Literally submissive, baby. Submissive, baby. Submissive, baby. Literally submissive, smash. She all in the feeling, she giving me sex. I got a slack, 12 on my ass. Count up on a move, that's a digital dash. Ain't been just losing, I'm living these facts. Never go broke cause I got me a stash. I could never ever live in the past. I gotta wake up and go get the bag. I gotta go ahead and clip up the smash. She all in the feeling, she giving me sex. I got a slack, 12 on my ass. Count up on a move, that's a digital dash. Ain't been just losing, I'm living these facts. Never go broke cause I got me a stash. I could never ever live in the past. But I dish it like I give it and go. Counting money while I chill at the stove. How I deliver, I've been at the dough. It's up to you how business will go. That 36 I get for the low. Count it up, no feelings will show. Spend so much, gotta get it some more. When they hands out, I just give them a no. How they always talk about me, but a nigga stand out. Watch out how you really walk up to me, that's a man down. All these niggas got these drums with them like a band now. I've been doing what I want, that's what you can't doubt. I've been just feeling myself. Do I just really need help? I got my weight up. I be just telling myself I got love for all of my dogs. I take a pay cut, niggas really gon' rise. Some niggas really gon' slide. So go say a prayer. We ain't never got a slap 5. Nigga, just pay your ties and call me the man. I gotta wake up and go get the bag. I gotta go ahead and clip up this man. She all in the feeling, she giving me sex. I got a slack, 12 on my ass. Count up on a move, that's a digital dash. Ain't been just losing, I'm living these facts. Never go broke cause I got me a stash. I could never ever live in the past. I gotta wake up and go get the bag. I gotta go ahead and clip up this man. She all in the feeling, she giving me sex. I got a slack, 12 on my ass. Count up on a move, that's a digital dash. Ain't been just losing, I'm living these facts. Never go broke cause I got me a stash. I could never ever live in the past. Nah. I was down, now I'm really about to go get up. 10 rounds, now that nigga can't get up. That's what you get when you go fuck with division. My money be piling, we don't do division. The feds be watching, I just gotta get up. I was just down, now I'ma get up. Sleeping on me, I bet that they get up. My money was low, but now I'ma get up. Oh, bet that we get up. Pushing this weight, I'm doing sit-ups. I was just dirty, now I got my fit up. Too good for these bitches, I bet they gon' miss us. And I pack a bag if you think that I'm trippin'. I keep this shit brisk, like I'm sip Lipton. Even though niggas don't know what to get on. You ain't shit, so your niggas go and get on. Get you some pack, go make a flip homes. Yeah, I'm stuck in my bad ways. Niggas always being burnt out, so I dip them all in the ashtray. I don't understand these niggas that just always talking about, yeah, they past ways. I don't understand these bitches always comparing me to they past days. I give a fuck about you, you give a fuck about me. I just be rapping for money, you be rapping for free. Feel like that I rap like a god, the reason they call me a G. I'm against all of these odds, niggas ain't fucking with me. Never know worries of Kuna Matata. They say that I'm hot cause the devil with Prada. I'm Soldier Boy first and these niggas gon' follow. Catching no feelings, you catching these hollows. Ride with Rodriguez like I fuck with Rollo. Ain't got no time when I see this Movado. Bet that bitch shine like I'm in Monte Carlo. Looking at me like I done hit the lotto. Counting your last days, get hit up. Talking that trash, Shay on Twitter. The bitch, she be bad, yeah, I'm with her. When she see me, her face be lit up. Boy, better go ahead and mind your business. I don't go back and forth like tenor. Run this game, I don't get no finna. But we bout to get up. 10 rounds, now that nigga can't get up. That's what you get when you go fuck with division. My money be piling, we don't do division. The feds be watching, I just gotta get up. I was just down, now I'ma get up. Sleeping on me, I bet that they get up. My money was low, but now I'ma get up. Oh.